Hey, good people, what's up and what's happening? Welcome to Phreez Phrame.
The system of oppression let 8 incidents where officer-involved deaths have taken place. All of them were exonerated on September 27th, the day before September 28th. This is a call to black men specifically on the systemic injustice that we face at every single level.
Come on, Leo.
If you don't understand what that holiday is, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Come on,
it's time
Leo.
for us to wake up.
We gotta break out the chains to fight for our freedom. They tryna tell us what's right, but we are not equal. We gotta break out the chains to fight for our freedom. They tryna tell us what's right, but Mashae are not equal. Took a Larry, fixed it, then changed up all our visions. Remember, you are not a slave, don't put your mind in prison. We're put here to be way much more than that, but we couldn't see because our minds was trapped. But I'm here to break away the chains, take away the pains, remake the brains, rebuild my name. Cause it's always a move to make, we gotta take a chance to break out the chains, become awake. Cause it's a new way to be proud and brave, and I ain't going like no slave. Remember my name all in your veins. Cause concrete jungle physical by this Rome. Not trapped up in the rhythm pulses is slow. Raw expression, the real message, the word forward, call it woke. It speaks for the dreamers, call to awaken, truly woke. If your third eye is open, no explanation, you just know. It goes deeper than hashtags, it's black history they rewrote. I'm ready to change the world, gaining knowledge and chasing hope. Cause I be damned to be a lost soul with my back up against the ropes. Take some notes.
There's the ecology of our community that changes. You can't even get clubs because of certain fights or certain shootings that might have had happened. And subsequently is all of these cultural spaces, black spaces, clubs have been shut down because of those fights or because of a shooting. Our whole community is now afraid to have places of gathering, especially in the evenings, because of the idea that there's going to be a shooting or a fight at these events. If we all share the same watering hole, I'm bound to run into somebody I don't like at the watering hole. So what you have to do is diversify how many water holes there are. You have one shooting in a spot in North Omaha and a liquor license is being threatened and they're being given all these sanctions, not an increase in security, not an influx of money given to them to increase their lighting or make better parking for the space or make it more walkable or any of those things. They don't make measures to make it more secure. They actually shut it down and make it more dormant, which only increases the opportunity for more violence and more things to happen.
Yeah, okay, we in our last days, now it's action versus talking. Can't been killing Kane, homie. Tell me what's the option? How we supposed to stop them? When all but been done popped them. It's a cold war when they callin' ICE. They don't want us to unite. Come on. Now it's mad powers, cause they know we got numbers. Alabama showed us that. Steady nicking at our pride. Big cannons legalized. Black buying power is at a rise. That's 2025. Lift them Gucci glasses for a second. We facing economic decline. We fought in sex to rep these hoods. Get your license up. Buy it back. Say I see, then we all good. Now you can scream on my hood. Too old to get started. I'm where it went retarded. Should've put my kids on wells, nigga. There was nobody else, nigga. Everyone left me out here, young and damn dangerous. No bodyguards and no angels. Mad at God and everybody at his table. They won't beef, then I'm a daddy. I'm an 80 baby, who say? Come on. True definition of a sentence, not honest, could never pimp my cojones, huh?
Do you know why you made that sign again? Because the system didn't change. You didn't change. Because you won't do your homework.
All right. What's up, good people? This is your girl, LaGhe, baby, all day, baby. And we have here Mr. Leo Lewis II. How are you?
I'm doing well, yourself?
I'm good. We're just going to jump right into everything.
Okay.
You've been real vocal and non-secretive about like your professional life, your activism, and even like your beautiful marriage that you have going on and the balance that you guys have. Talk to us about, how you evolved, because everybody has a backstory. Everybody has that story where they were like, I didn't start out doing this. I was this, that, everywhere else, but in my journey. So talk to us about how you've evolved.
How much time I got?
Look, we could just slide on it.
Okay, so I'll try to give you the brief. That I'm born and raised in North Omaha. My father was a product of the 80s, so he used to have a job at the courthouse, but when they changed the law and didn't give preference to minority contractors, he lost that job. And the streets at that time in the 80s were starting to see the crack come through and the gangs were starting to come through, so he fell into that trap and started hustling. Him and my mother got divorced, and so I ended up growing up in a single parent household with my mom, my brother, my little sisters, and then my mother had 2 other children, which gave me about 5 siblings that I grew up with in the house. But Papa was Rolling Stone, so I don't know how many other brothers and sisters I got.
Right.
But I went to grade school, went to middle school, and went to high school here in Omaha. Graduated Omaha North. But
come on, Viking.
in that process, went through all the things that a young black adolescent male goes through: the streets, the gangs, the trying to figure out where you fit, and also trying to discover manhood and what that looks like as a young black male without a consistently present father figure. Now, my dad was there when he could be, but dealing with the courts, going in and out of jail, it wasn't always as consistent. So my brother took the path of going straight all the way hardcore in the streets. I was in and out when I could be. I was the oldest, so my job was to try to be responsible.
Yeah.
So I had to go to hold a job and stay busy and keep myself together until my brother got so caught up in the streets that it was pulling me to the streets. So trying to defend him, because that's my brother, I'm my brother's keeper. So I'm now trying to look after him. That really kind of pulled me in. And it was 2004 when we got into this altercation with some enemies that he had. Long story short, there was a shootout, my car got totaled, and I realized that I had to make a decision in my life. Either I'm going to play in these streets with him and we're going to do things we shouldn't be doing, or we're going to change and actually go for the better. Luckily, I had a homeboy who was going to church, and so he would invite me to church, so we'd leave the club some nights and then go to church the next morning. But that process really exposed me to another world. So going to the church really became like a balance. But after that situation with our vehicle, or my vehicle specifically, I say, you know what, I'm going to start fasting, I'm going to start praying, I'm going to start trying to figure out what's going on with life. And in that process, that's when I met the woman who eventually became my wife, Nicole, and we were working together at that time. And I had a rule, which is a wise rule: you don't deal with people that you work with, because you know it's going to mess up the job. But we ended up hooking up one time, and afterwards we started building a relationship, and that's a whole nother interview for a whole nother day. But I will say within a year we ended up getting married. She already had children, and so we just continued on that path. Well, about 2 years into our marriage, I still had this desire to make sure that my brother got out of the streets. Now, music was one of my safe havens, so I tried to do music on the side and keep that going. But about 2 years into it, I had an opportunity. 2 years into my marriage, I had an opportunity to go to Texas and really deal with some high-class producers at that time. We're talking about playing skills. They had just produced Riding Dirty for Chameleonaire. It was the #1 selling ringtone, and I got an opportunity to go to Texas while they were at the height of their career. So I get down there, and we're going to bars, we're going to clubs, we're hanging out, I'm in the entourage, and I learned real quick that the music industry is fast-paced. It is definitely not as loyal as you might think it is, and you better know the law, you better know the contract. So sitting in the studio where they had done a lot of recording, our playing skills had just done some work with Erykah Badu and Crazy Bone, and we had this late-night conversation, and that conversation changed my life, because Play was going through a divorce. He had just started getting money. He was breaking up with his woman, and he said, man, I pay $10,000 in child support. I drink almost every night because I can't find peace. He said, it's a different thing when you get money and people think you got money all the time. We don't even got money. The record label gave us a loan. Our goal is to try to build up our credentials, which is why we're at the club all the time. We go to the club every night so that we can build our reputation up. Having that reputation will allow us to then sell more records. So when I got the real game of what it looks like to be in the music industry, I said, okay, I don't want no parts of that. Came back to Omaha. My brother was still in jail. So I told my queen, I said, I just want to get my brother out of jail, and then we just need to do something together. I want to get him off the streets. So we put some money together, bailed him out, and when he got out, he was dealing with a guy who was in the streets with him, and that guy had helped him out. But that guy was also tasked with basically taking his life. And so we had a real hard conversation between us three, and we decided that we were all going to shift together. And so we started a small support group called Found Period, where we were getting guys off the street, and we would meet every single Sunday to just talk about life. Since I was following the Christian path, the brother was following the Muslim path, and my brother didn't know exactly where he wanted to be, we all got together and we just started meeting with each other every week, building up men, and we even brought women in. The next thing you know, in the middle of the summer, we'd have 50, 60 people sitting in the room just chopping it up about life. So we ran that group for about 7 years, and I was facilitating it, and that's really what got me jump-started in community work.
That's amazing. But it's very inspiring because I know a lot of people, especially in my world, and the younger and older, you know, the streets is where they grew up, you know. I'm not, you know, I've lived in different places, but Omaha is where I grew up. And it just so happens that my family was just really close knit. A lot of the people that I was around, their families really weren't. So they had different struggles than I did, but I got to watch them go through certain struggles that I didn't have to go through myself. And the streets are not nice. The streets are mean. You know, it's cold. You know what I'm saying? Just like the music game, as you were speaking about. It's a cold game. You know what I'm saying? So you really have to be prepared for that. And I appreciate, you know, you actually bringing all of that up. And a lot of people that are watching are actually, you know, taking that shift towards, you know, what they want to see and where they see their journey actually going to. So it helps to see people like you, especially a man like you. Is it hard to find balance with a lot of the passions that you have? Because we see you being a visionary. We see you out here being an activist. We see you out here really just advocating for, you know, the community at large and for the community, the younger community coming up. So is it hard to find balance with, you know, your passions and then your path? Your journey.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to balance the time, but I think that I have a philosophy that really grounds me because I understand that for Black people specifically, that we have been dealt a bad card. Some people wonder, how do you get rid of a group of people? And what we were taught was wars, famine, disenfranchisement, lynchings, etc. That's not true. The easiest way to get rid of a group of people is change their name. Literally.
Come on.
All you have to do is change their name. They'll forget everything about what they used to be and who they were. And that's what happened to us. So instead of being whatever tribe you were from, whatever ancestry you have, they just call us Black. And now we are still trying to navigate what that history looks like. So when I used to ask young people, who's your great-great-great-great-grandfather, they wouldn't tell me a name. They would just say, probably a slave. Well, somebody told you that story and lied to you about that. And so in this work, when I transitioned from the streets in music and really decided to be more of a family man and a community man, I started to discover that Black culture was our biggest void. And so I looked at my past and I saw hip hop, I saw music, I saw the streets and bravado, and really that was our rites of passage process. And I saw all of these things taking place and I said, okay, what's really going on is we're trying to fill in the gap of the lack of culture that is truly identifiable for us. And so for that reason, I don't feel disjointed. I feel very connected to all the things that I'm engaged in because I understand there's very many versions of what our culture looks like. And it is not this subculture of just gangs and street life. It is a true and real culture which has 7 real scientific aspects that can be defined that define us. And as long as we're able to identify that, we have a very bright future. So that's what keeps me grounded.
I love that. I love interviewing you. You're so knowledgeable, but you're so inspirational and really just grounded. You know what I mean? Yeah, I really love this interview and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're going to go to a commercial break real quick, and then we're going to come right back into it. You dig? All right.
Stop running this house. Stop running this house. Hey, hey. Oh, God. Stop. Sit down. Get it. Leave. Put it down. Hey, if she lose the braid, I'ma lose your ass. Stay out my refrigerator, I said. Hey, you ain't paid for nothing in there. Get out the refrigerator.
Man, your house is crazy.
Hell yeah.
Here, man, you need this. For real. Bro. Here.
Huh. All right. Okay. Yeah, good looking. Good look. Hey, stop dragging him around the house. Take the cord from around this damn neck.
That's exactly where they get it from. Why you throw the book?
You see me looking for something to throw, you gonna hand me something to throw. What I'm supposed to do?
You need Jesus, man. I would say that's what you need, but I don't know exactly what you need.
Look, I need an alibi, a burlap bag, I need some duct tape, I need a lake, I need a couple chains, I need some bricks so I can weigh their little battery.
I get you need this book. Listen, this book is gonna give you tools, strategy, and tips on how to bring your household into order and bring it into alignment. You are the one in charge.
So you telling me that this is gonna make them listen to me?
Man, you think your methods work? No.
Man, let me see the book. Hey, get! Stop! Let me see the book. Dr. LeDonna, Griffin, and Mr. Leo Lewis, huh? Let me see what they talking about.
And they from the culture.
Oh, okay. Now, then I can understand because they probably have been through the struggle. They understand what it's like. They know what it's like because, ooh, you be wanting to just...
Exactly. And they'll give you, this will help you be able to articulate your your ahs, and all that.
Ooh, we was finna go take a trip down to the lake and go, I was finna go baptize them. Okay, all right. You know what? I'm gonna check this out. You know what? I'm gonna check this out. I'm gonna give it a read, and I'm going to implement what is in this reading, so that way, the next time you come over, it ain't gonna be all like this. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause this the devil.
Let's go.
All right. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate you, bro. That's cool. Good looking out.
Welcome back. You already know how we do with our commercials, okay? We're sitting here with Mr. Leo Lewis II, and we are getting amazing information, you guys. I hope that you guys are listening. I hope you guys are enjoying exactly what he has to say. Now, I've getting back into it. You co-wrote a book.
Yes.
And it's based on education and discipline. And it seems like everything that you guys did around it to promote it, even the book signing, the welcome, because you had it at the gathering place, correct?
Yep.
Right. What were you most passionate about conveying in the book? That's what I want to ask.
Yeah.
I can see how you could be passionate about the whole thing.
Right on. The book was birthed out of an initiative that I ran with the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation called the Justice for Kids Initiative. It started with my nephew, first grader, who was suspended in his first 2 months of first grade. So this is a kindergartner basically coming into first grade, little black boy. Play fighting on the playground, play fighting in the cafeteria, gets suspended literally from school for 3 days. And so I said, this is kind of crazy to suspend a first grader. So I started asking parents around the neighborhood, and they started telling me that they were having this experience. I asked daycare owners. They were saying they got kids in the back who shouldn't be there because they were being suspended. Then I talked to my school board member who gave me the data, and he said, well, this has been a problem. And he showed me the data that black children make up about 1/3 of the population, the student body population, but they account for about 50% plus of all the suspensions. And so I asked him, how long has this been happening? He referenced some articles, and I started going back and seeing that this was an issue since the 90s. In the early 2000s, the largest school district in Omaha got in trouble for these suspension rates and even got fined $1.8 million for the disproportionate suspension of African American children. So when I started realizing how many black children were being suspended, even though they make up 24% of the population in the largest school district in this city, I said we need to do something about this. So I started talking to parents, and I started to hear their feedback, and they were explaining all of these crazy stories of pre-K kids getting suspended, kindergarten kids getting suspended. And I said, okay, how do we stop this? So I started talking to the school district and saying, what can we do? And they said, well, our biggest issue is working with the parents. I said, well, I got plenty of parents that's willing to talk to y'all. And so I rented out North High Viking Center, and I said, let's have a meeting. So December 9th of 2018, I had a meeting, and I also had prepped the school board or the HR of the school district about sending principals to come to this meeting so they can meet with parents. Well, about 100+ parents showed up, and not a single administrator showed up.
Really?
I found out from one of the subs who worked in the district, they said, we all got a call not to show up to this meeting because it's political. So the superintendent at that time didn't want
any of the administrators to attend this community meeting to have this discussion, because she considered the conversation to be political. Now, at the time, it wasn't political, but it eventually had to get political because the district wouldn't budge.
Right.
And so through that work, I met 2 principals in the school district that weren't suspending children. Now, it's Principal J.B. of Franklin Elementary and Dr. LeDonna Griffin at Masters. And so when I talked to Dr. Griffin, we found out we had similar hearts, that we don't want to see children get suspended, especially black children at a very young age, and that we wanted to see parents and educators working together. So from those conversations, eventually things moved forward, and we started talking more about how can we make this difference since we can't get the district to send us the teachers. Well, let's just write a book on how parents, teachers, and other caretakers, daycare providers, after-school program providers, and even bus drivers and people who are around children, how can they all work together to make student discipline easier, and how we can really build that village around our kids. So that's where the birth of that book came from. So from 2020 and the pandemic all the way up to 2025, that's how we ended up coming up with this book.
Outside of, well, for the people who haven't read the book or haven't purchased the book, or has even been in any kind of book clubs to be able to hear anything from the book, what is something you can interject into a cycle to break that cycle?
I think so. One thing that's really powerful in the book, and this is a big nugget from the book, so I'll share with you on this show, so you have an exclusive. So there's a chapter that we have in the book where we talk about a science experiment done by a scientist named Renee Spitz. So Renee Spitz, if you ever took a counseling class or a psychology class, you'll learn about Renee Spitz. But if you haven't, then you wouldn't normally hear about him. So Renee Spitz did this experiment where he took babies, and they were orphans, and this is in the 1940s. One group of orphans were fed, clothed, and changed. The other group of orphans were fed, clothed, changed, and also had human interaction. For about a year or so, he did this experiment. The children who were only fed, clothed, and changed and did not have human interaction had developmental disabilities. They developed emotional instability. Some of them even died. The children who were held, who were given the clothing, the shelter, the nurturing, those children survived. And those children actually thrived. And so if you take that experiment and you expand that to black communities, especially in single parent households with stressed out parents who are trying to raise children, and you take that and you build on that, and you start to see a kid get cussed out every day, talked crazy to, but their parent provides food for them, puts clothes on their back, and tells them what to do, but really don't give them that hug, that nurturing, that caring, then you're setting that child up on almost a suicidal path. And so we make that correlation in the book very heavy, so that people understand that without nurturing, without love, without a sense of community, and really bringing our children in, we are setting them up for death. So why we see our boys and our girls go into self-destructive mode is because they're oftentimes lacking that nurturing that they need. And so it's become a common phrase to say, oh, so-and-so is a crash out, so-and-so is a crash dummy. Well, why do you think that is? That's because we're developing a group of children who are growing up in a generation where they're so disconnected from human touch that they're feeling that death creeping in on them. So we have to have community. We have to touch each other. We have to build our communities again. So that's one of the nuggets from the book. That's why it's so important to me to make sure it gets out there.
There are a lot of parents who I know feel stuck, especially if they're watching now or they've been in a position of change recently, and you have older children, teenage years, and you're just now trying to implement those things. A lot of them feel stuck. And I noticed that you help a lot of people, and you provide counseling almost to some people who feel stuck. So what are some ways to help them unlock a new mindset within themselves and their children at that pivotal age? Because a lot of them are still going through puberty at the ages that, I'm saying, especially around my way. A lot of the people I grew up with and I went to school with, our children are teenagers, you know what I mean? So you come into your own and you come into a mindset where you want to break generational curses, but you're at that pivotal moment where it's hard for you and your youth to accept or even implement certain things. So how can you help? What advice do you have to help unlock a different mindset for them and the youth?
I would say number one, most important, is recognize that they are becoming young men and young women. number one, recognize that and give them the tools to be that young man and young woman. See them as a young adult, not as a child. It's very hard to do that when we become parents or we become caretakers. We say, you a child, stay in the child's place. Give them that respect, which also gives them that responsibility because they want it. And if you don't give them responsibility, they'll take it. And then we be like, why are they running away? Why are they being defiant? Because they're trying to take the responsibility. So I often tell parents, don't tell them not to do, tell them how to do. So don't have sex. No, here's how you have sex. You might want to wait this time. You might want to do these things because it's going to have these results afterwards. We don't be planning for our kids oftentimes. We really don't plan to have kids. We get pregnant with somebody or we knock up somebody because we were in our emotions rather than actually planning. And in this day and age, our children are feeling that. They're literally feeling it. They're recognizing that, oh, y'all didn't plan for me. Y'all ain't got no strategy for me. Y'all just wake up and tell me what to do. You don't even know what to do with me. And so the children say, I got to figure out what to do in my life on my own. And if you notice, this new generation don't even want to have kids. If you ever talk to them, you'll find out they don't want to have kids because they're looking at how they're getting treated. And so what I would say to parents is, number one, plan for the child. If you happen to have one, which a lot of us do, that you didn't plan for, that's okay. Build a community around them. Let them know they're intentionally being loved and that we intentionally care about your development and who you are, and we respect you as a young adult and a young human being. If we can do that, we'll see wonders come out of these kids.
I love that. I appreciate that because I got a young one. And it's a little, you know, I learned, because we don't have a handbook on how to be parents. You know, we watch our parents and a lot of times we just emulate. But there's a certain point where you realize a lot of things that you're emulating did a lot of trauma to you.
True.
So why are you doing it to them? You know, and at that point, a lot of the time they're already going through their own struggles because there are other cultures who they prepare their children to take that transition.
Exactly.
You know, the United States of America, we were this is a business, you know, they don't have time to, you know, we as, you know, communities try to find more ways to really help each other to create that community where that saying comes from, it takes a tribe, but we don't inherently have that because we were misguided, you know what I mean? So that definitely, I really appreciate that. And just so we can take a moment, because, you know, if there are some young ones, we like to keep them engaged. Phreez the Phrame with Leo Lewis. This is our fun and quick lightning round questioning. Okay. So we have a couple here. Okay, our first one is, if you were a neighborhood superhero and you had a squad, what would your community activist name be and what would your superpower do?
What would mine be?
Yes, and what would your superpower do?
Oh, it's visionary.
Come on.
And I would see the things that are coming in the future and I would prepare the path forward.
I know that's right. Proactivity. Look, I love that. All right, question number 2. If you could build a dream team of 5 local change makers in the community for like an activism tour, who is coming and what cities are you hitting first?
On a tour?
5.
A dream team?
Yes.
That's crazy because I think some of the people that I would pick I ain't met them yet.
Well, look, okay, so let's take the local part out. Just, you know, community members. Any community.
I would take Johnny No Good because he has a lot of wisdom.
Yes.
I would take Sherman Wells because he has a lot of fire. I would take, oh man, can I lump a lot of the elders together? I would take a whole group of elders just for wise counsel for all of us because they've seen what we haven't seen before. And then I would take a group of young people. And like I said, a lot of them I haven't met because I'm still searching for them too, honestly. And I would take those young people and we would go move forward. I'd also take my brother Chrome because that's my bro and I know how he moves and I know what we're going to do when we move.
So what are 2 cities that you guys would hit first?
Only because I got ties to them, Chicago and Atlanta.
I know that's right. I ain't mad at that. I think Chicago could do some good with that. You feel me? Both places. All right. So next question. If you could host a block party with any historical activist, dead or alive, who's on the grill, who's on the mic, and who's handling security?
Oh, that's easy. So Fred Hampton's on the mic 100%.
Okay.
Bobby Seale actually wrote a cookbook, so he's on the grill.
Look, you can't argue with that.
And you said who? So,
and who's doing security?
Who's doing security? Oh man, Robert F. Williams, Negroes with Guns.
Look.
And the Deacons for Defense.
Look, I think we sounded secure on that one, you guys. We got the food, we got the music, and we got the security. We set. Right. All right, so our last question.
I love these questions. This is a great question.
If you could swap roles for anyone, just for a day, in the community, a community leader, a community activist, who would it be and what would you try to learn from them?
I would swap roles with Juanita Johnson.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because she had to come into city council after being gray.
Yeah.
And in that role, I think that is a very impactful role, but it's possibly underutilized. And so in her 4 years, I would have switched roles with her just to see how she felt and what she was going through. Because I think that she was kind of given not the head start that she needed to really be as impactful as she could have been because of how the transition took place.
I agree. I appreciate that one wholeheartedly. Yo, you guys, this has been Frame the Future, or Phreez the Frame, with Leo Lewis. I appreciate the lightning round. We got a couple more questions for you that I really wanted to get out. I know we might be running a little bit over in time, but I really appreciate you coming in because I really appreciate what you have to say, especially when it comes to a lot of these subjects.
Right on, thank you.
All right, so if you could deliver a message directly to our Black youth in the community, what would it be for them?
The first thing that comes to mind is I would let them know there is a future. There is a future. So if you are young and you are trying to find a way, there is a future. Life is more than now. And oftentimes we as teenagers live for the now and we don't see what the future is. There is a future. So if you do make a plan, there is a plan that you can execute and there is one that you can be successful at.
How do you see with the youth that we have right now in the community and the things that they're starting to recognize and the way they're starting to move, how do you see them shaping and organizing the future as it is right now with the steps that they're taking?
I think one of the things they're doing is they're recognizing quickly that the institutions that have been put in place to kind of govern how they develop are not functional for the world that's about to come. They understand that and they are abandoning those systems as quickly as they possibly can. They are taking the shortcuts because they understand the shortcuts exist and they understand that's how the real world really works. School teaches us to individualize ourselves, don't look at each other's tests, don't work together, but then every once in a while want to ask us to work together, which is crazy because in real life we say we need to work together, we need to come together. Well, if we're in classroom with a whole room full of people and we got a problem, how come I can't get the answer from you? And how come we can't work together? And how come you can't be in my peer? Explain to me how you came to this conclusion. When I don't understand what the teacher says, you can speak the language I speak and we can have the proper solution. Unfortunately, the school teaches you not to do that and say you got to work with them on your own. What's a lot faster when you work with somebody who understands you, gets you, and can explain it to you in a little better terms. So I think that our youth understand that way better than we do. So when we look at them, we don't think about the fact that they understand that. We're so busy trying to teach them our old jacked up ways. Yeah. When we should just let them be who they are and give them the space to do so.
I know that's right. That's powerful in itself. You've mentioned, I've noticed that you've mentioned, because I did a little stalker thing, you know, I checked up on you.
No. That was good. I love interviews like that.
You've mentioned smart cities. You've mentioned Green New Deal. The Green New Deal. You've mentioned the North American Union. How do you believe these major shifts will impact the Black community?
Already have impacted us. I'm a firm believer that we are walking into a digital prison and don't even realize it. So while we're sitting around playing with our phones and on tablets, we're walking right into a digital prison. We're going to walk outside of this building, and on 14th and Jones, to your left, you're going to see a street pole that's going to have 5G towers right on the side of it, and you aren't paying any attention to it. Go to Exarban, you're going to see the same 5G towers. You drive down Saddle Creek, you're going to see the same 5G towers. You go across from North Highway, they're going to build a new stadium, you're going to see the same 5G towers on the light pole, and you didn't notice them. Nobody in this room noticed them. They were all put up in 2020 during the pandemic. Actually, cell phone companies across this entire country put 5G towers in every single major city preparing for smart cities. They have their whole rollout on websites. If you go look them up, and they'll tell you, we are attempting to build 5G all over this entire country. That is going to be able to do what they do in China now. Facial recognition, tracking, vehicle tracking, license plate reading, and reading of your cell phone. You pull into Walmart or Baker's and you see this little security tower that has a camera on it that is networked across the entire United States. It's not just here. It reads your license plates, matches it to a database to find out if that car or vehicle you're driving is stolen, and notifies law enforcement that that vehicle was at that parking lot. But most people aren't paying attention. We're building a digital prison and we don't even know it. So while we were worried about vaccine, masked and unmasked anti-vaxxers, what was really happening was a digital prison was being built around us. And so I think the biggest thing we need to be paying attention to is what this future landscape looks like in this digital age where we're using so much technology. When Trump came out and announced this AI revolution that's going to happen through Project Stargate, he was saying, everybody publicly, that this is going to be the new deal of the future. That we are going to let AI be the new police of the human beings in this particular country. And there's going to be a group of people that's going to get onto it real quick, and going to figure it out, and there's going to be a little rumble coming up real soon. So those are the things I'm paying attention to.
What would you say to people? Because I've noticed like lately there's been a real big trend and a real big craze for people leaving the United States of America, which I don't totally disagree with, but in my mind there comes that conflict of wanting to leave versus, you know, staying and fighting for the community that we have here. You know, because there are a lot of people who can't leave. What would you say to somebody who is teeter-tottering on, you know, that scale right now?
I would say the number one thing we got to do is know our value. What value are you bringing to a community, and what value do you have in your community? That is the number one thing. It's what I try to teach my kids. It's what I keep in my family and the people around me. I'm a firm believer in having a skill set that you can drop into any city and then survive. If you do that, then I don't mind. I don't care. You should go anywhere you feel most comfortable with. If you go to Bangkok, Thailand, if you go to South Korea, you go to Africa, you go to Swaziland, you go to LaGhe, as long as you have a skill set that you can offer to the community and be of value to that community, feel free to travel wherever you want to. If you want to stay here, also have a skill set that you want to travel to value or add value to the community. But do not, I repeat, do not bring your shadow self and not work on your shadow self. Because what a lot of people do, if they choose to stay here, they have these bad competition ways that America has instilled in us. And so they don't see community. They're always waiting for the one up. And in reality, our survival depends on us coming together.
That leads me into, because I know we're running on time, that leads me into my last question. What does the authentic community building mean to you? And how do you distinguish between real work versus performance work? Somebody who's just who gets out here and just performs.
So there's a couple of things I use. So I'm going to let you in on another secret. A couple of things I use to measure whether a person's truly about community. Number one is how they take notes. If they are actually documenting or keeping record, and you don't have to really write things down, but if you're actually keeping record of what the community needs are, and you're actually researching those things or looking them up, and when I say researching, I'm not saying you got to read every book, so you might ask questions or talk to other people, then I value that person and I recognize that as true and real community work, because those people are often really present. The other thing is performative community work is very easy to identify. Watch how often a person repeats the same type of action to see if they can get a reaction out of people. I can go to any community and start to ask people, who do you respect in this community? And they will tell me the people who actually are doing the work. If I can't go to your community and say, hey, what do you think about this person? And they say, I ain't heard of them. Then that's typically a person that's only doing it performative for social media or doing it for clout or whatever it is. But most of the time, the people who are really making a difference, you don't even know about, you're not even going to hear about. And those are the people that I like to work with and lift up. But there are some people who are popular, but actually do the work too.
Thank you for coming on and speaking with us. You have been a joy to have on and very informative about a bunch of different things. I had a lot more questions, but we're running out of time. So I hope I can get you back sometime so I can ask the questions I didn't get to ask and really get into, you know, they call it now, get in the paint. You know what I'm saying? So this is Phreez Phrame, you guys. Make sure you check it out. Is there, matter of fact, or is there anything that you have coming up that you would like people to look out for? Or any?
Yes.
And actually, plug your book too.
Okay. Yeah, you can go to leaderstolegendsacademy.com and find our book. Also, check out visionarylion.com. That's my website for the community organizing and engagement work that I do. And next week, May 10th, which this might be out later than that, but either way, it'll be an event that has been had May 10th called the Black Accountability Network. It is the initial meeting for the Black Accountability Network, and the goal is to get individuals who actually want to be held accountable for the work that they do in community and in their own homes to come and be around other people who are saying, let's be accountability partners to make sure that we're actually getting things done. In order to move our community forward as a people, we got to be accountable to ourselves first and then accountable to the people we say we serve. And if we can actually keep record of that, then we will see progress for real in this lifetime. So that's what the goal is.
That is so powerful. I swear I was just thinking about that earlier. I'm like, dang, if we had a group where we could just kind of hold each other accountable for certain things, and just, checking up on people. You said you were going to do this. Let's make sure it happens. Let's make sure we have it.
I need it myself. So May 10th, 10:30 at the Central Gathering Place. That's where we'll be.
Yes. For all my people out there, please make sure you get involved. If you are outside of the Omaha community area, like, please use some of this information to do exactly what you feel like you're being pulled to do within your community. So, you guys, this has been amazing. I want to thank you for joining Phreez Phrame. I am your girl, LaGhe, baby, all day, baby. And we'll catch you on the flip side.